Good morning, everybody out there in YouTube land. This is your T-shirted historian. And unfortunately, my co-host Grim is really sick right now. So I hope he gets better, because kind of sounds like things are coming out at both ends, and that ain't never fun. But we have the Dutchman, Victor.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. And we have Mr. Greg.
Hey, yo.
Yo. Oh. You know, Victor, I do a character on Snowdub's channel. You know, the Hans, the German robot, the German Berlin robot.
Yeah.
Everybody...
Okay. That's sweet.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of the guys in the chat the other day was like, hey, what do we tell Victor that T-shirt's making fun of him? And I'm just kind of like, I'm not making fun of Victor because he's Dutch, not German, and the accents aren't the same.
Make fun of Germans all you want. I mean, we do. So
Yeah.
the Germans, the Belgians, everyone's fair game.
There you
So,
go. I mean, yeah. Hey, disciple of Logris, it's good to see you.
Yeah.
All right. Everybody up in the chat. I've got a Q&A up there, and it says Q&A, but it's not actually a Q&A. It's just that I posted up the Stream Elements tip thing. So if you want to tip via Stream Elements instead of YouTube, please feel free to. I would appreciate that. Or you can use the handy dandy little super stickers and super chats and stuff. Although there's never usually a lot of people on Dungeons and Discussions to warrant super chats, but
yeah,
I don't know. I suffer under the delusion that someday we'll have hundreds and hundreds of people in the chat, and it'll be so hard to keep up with them. The super chats will be the only way.
1 million people.
Well, I'm just glad that you're monetized now, because I think you deserve it.
Well, I'm not actually monetized. I'm only I've only got that little halfway house monetization, because we got super chats, we got super stickers, we got memberships, which is great. And I'm not faulting. I'm not saying anything bad about YouTube for that, but we don't have full ad revenue monetization, which is the 1,000. So we're still looking for the 1,000 subs.
Yeah.
Crossface! Oh my God, no! It's really Crossface on my channel. My gosh, man! Hey, it's good to see you, buddy.
That's something really well,
Wow.
There you go, T-shirt.
Oh, there you go.
Look, I only
Victor Gorchev for €2 says Victor rules, Greg drools. Don't we all?
Don't spend it all at once.
Oh no problem. No, I appreciate it. Gosh. Oh my God. Just kind of in a off sort of way. I mentioned on Twig the other day that Jagged Alliance 3 came out.
Yeah, I've been eyeing that.
No, God, you need to get it.
Nice.
Yeah, it's like 4 nights in a row now. I have actually been on it until 5 or 6 in the morning.
Yeah,
it's that much fun.
I used to be a big fan of the second one. I also had the first one, but that one was a lot more. It was very pixelated. But the second one, people still play that to this day. There's so many mods and stuff for that make it an incredible game.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah.
And this is the actual successor to the other ones. This is not like a quick cash grab or any other garbage Jagged Alliance Wildfire and all those other things.
I remember that one. That one was shit.
Yeah.
How does it compare to Company of Heroes?
Apples and oranges.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because Jagged Alliance 3 is turn-based.
Yeah, it's also kind of more about the individual mercenaries, while Company of Heroes is about the little squads and stuff like that. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Jagged Alliance also has this 3 has some great voice acting. It has some really good story beats to it too.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of fun. It's also hard as hell.
Yeah, as it should be.
As it should be, yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause, you know, you're definitely there's definitely a point in the game where you're gonna be cursing and spitting and angry and probably having to restart.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna spoil that for you, but I'm 40 hours into this game already. So
I would love to
restarted 3
like
times.
I would love to write like a hex crawl adventure someday that's like based on Jagged Alliance, where you're literally just like a mercenary team like hired to like go through like this, third world nation to like get rid of like some dictator or something. And then you can hire like new mercenaries in case like your the players die and like stuff like that. Like I think that would be fun.
Yeah, it would make a really good role playing game, an actual good role playing game.
Yeah.
And you could do it with your 5e modern conversions.
Yeah, or what's it called? Modern Necessities. There we go. I forgot my own game.
There you go. You forgot your own game.
Yeah.
And I've got hard copies of that coming too.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, they just announced that they were bringing it.
I recently hit silver on that, so that's my first silver seller finally. So I was pretty happy about that.
Oh, you're doing great, dude. Yeah. I don't know how Sexbots Redux is doing, but so far people seem to like it. So you know,
I
don't
bought
know
it.
what the sales figures are going to look like, but
yeah. I guess only Grim sees that, not you. So yeah.
Well, considering it's like on 4 different platforms now. You can buy it on itch, you can buy it at post-mort.com, you can buy it at drive-thru, you can buy it at Big Geek Emporium, you can buy it at Giant Slayer. So it's kind of like whoever you want to hand money to, it's whoever you want to support.
Yeah, I'm on multiple platforms as well, but I'll be honest, drive-thru RPG is still like 90% of my sales.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what the sales figures look like, I guess, come next month. But good morning, Troublemaker. It's good to see you. And Tapani says Victor is back.
Yeah, well, for the Tuesday shows anyway.
Tuesday shows, yeah.
I've been meaning to jump on like before, but I keep forgetting because in my brain, like all the other streams that I do are like in the middle of the night, so my brain just doesn't compute. It's like, oh, it's 4 p.m. Let's go jump on the stream. And so I'm always like, I'm at my parents or I'm like sleeping, and then like I like look and like, oh shit, this should stream was fuck, should be on.
It's all right. It happens.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Grim threw me a few notes about what he was gonna talk about this morning because this was kind of his thing.
Yeah.
Although I also really like it. So anyway, yeah, solo gaming is what we're talking about today, and it's kind of interesting because solo gaming is kind of how I and Grim actually got started playing RPGs, more or less. I myself started kind of, I was a big fan of the Choose Your Own Adventure books way back in the day.
Yeah.
And then, of course, when Endless Quest came out from Dungeons and Dragons, I loved those. And sometime around that same time, maybe just a little bit earlier, I found my copy of the Red Basic book. But, of course, the Red Basic book, you had to have other players. You couldn't necessarily solo it. And then I found Fighting Fantasy, which is that was the first actual real role-playing game that I discovered. It wasn't the first. Tunnels and Trolls actually has that honor, but it was the first I discovered. And that was kind of my early introduction to, solo role-playing. And man, I love those books. They were great.
Yeah.
Trying to get a hold of copies of them now, it's just like, ugh. Scholastic, has put out some reprints, but the reprints are terrible. I don't know if they've actually changed up any of the words or anything in it to more reflect modern society, but they changed up the artwork. So you don't have that beautiful artwork from Russ Nicholson or any of those, or Martin McKenna or any of those other guys. So it's kind of sad.
Yeah. Is it like more modern, like just worse artwork basically?
Yeah.
Like the Tumblr stuff.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, it really looks terrible.
Yeah, that sucks.
If I had one, I would show you, but I don't even own. Well, I used to own a couple just to check them out, but
What was it? Fighting Fantasy, you said?
yeah, Fighting Fantasy. Greg, did you ever try any of that stuff when you were younger?
No, hell no.
What?
No. I was too deeply entrenched in video games to get into to even know about any of that stuff. I only had one game store in the town that I grew up in until I was in college. And then that one game store didn't have any RPG stuff almost at all. I got my D&D stuff from Walden Books. I love Walden Books back in the day.
God, yes.
But I was a hardcore RPG guy, just not at the tabletop. I played everything on the Super Nintendo and Phantasy Star on the Master System, and
Yes.
I was into all the old stuff. Like that was my thing.
I didn't get to play Phantasy Star on the Master System, so I got to play Phantasy Star 2, and I loved 2, and then 3 came out, and I loved 3 even more.
4 is the best one to me.
I got to play 4. I own a copy of 4, but I didn't get to play it as long as I wanted to because other things kept coming up, and it's just kind of like one of those games where it was like, I got too many other things to play right now.
Yeah, there was a time when you could. I would walk into a store like Babbage's. I don't know if you.
Yeah, I remember Babbage's.
Or Electronic Boutique, and there would be like brand new in the box, like Master System, like in the clearance discount bin for like $10. That's how I got mine, and I got a 32X that way as well.
Yeah, I think I got my Master System at a really, really discounted price, and then I got rid of it not too long ago. But,
it was junk. Basically, there was like 5 games that were worth playing.
Yeah, basically. Nintendo pretty much had the market cornered in the 8-bit days.
I was like a Commodore guy before I had my first Nintendo. I did also pick up like an Atari at some point for like really cheap. And that had like some fun games, but yeah, I was mostly like a Commodore. Like I had like a Commodore 64, my first one with like the tape deck thing. That like took like ages to like load up a game, and then like it was like actually like a big deal, like a huge leap forward to get like the Commodore 128 with the floppy drive.
Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't mean to segue off on video games so much, but it is important to notice too that that is another early solo gaming kind of outlet. Because one of the first solo games I had that was computerized was I had a TI 99 4A, so I actually had Tunnels of Doom.
Wow.
On cassette drive. So
nice.
that was actually, it was really fun though. I used to spend hours and hours and hours on that thing.
Well, about solo gaming and like those choose your own adventure books, I wanted to say like I never played like Fighting Fantasy and like all those fantasy ones. The ones I had, I can't remember the name, it's so long ago, but they were like sci-fi themed. And I remember one, this is the one I distinctly remember. It's like you start off as a kid who like stows away on like a spaceship, and then like all your adventures are like on this big spaceship. But I think I remember you could just one like right away, and like you could stow away in like the wrong part of the ship, and you would just like die when it like took off, like so stuff like that.
Yeah, the old Fighting Fantasy game books had a lot of sudden death options. So
yeah.
There were a series of choose your own adventure books that were based on Nintendo games. I don't know if you guys saw those, but there was one for like Mega Man, Castlevania, like Blaster Master. Those were good. Those are very obscure. You can't find them now.
Yeah, I didn't see those.
I'm gonna loudly type looking them up.
What else is new? At least you're not loudly clicking while playing Diablo 4.
Yeah, no kidding.
Progress.
What were they called? They were Nintendo Adventure books. That's what they were called. They had a Zelda one.
Oh.
Cool. Nice.
But yeah, as far as like solo playing role-playing games, the first time I tried it was like actually with Tristat, using my Ghost Dog Way of the Samurai book. I tried to run myself to like one of the adventures that was in the book, which it worked reasonably well. Like as long as you're fair with yourself, it works pretty well. But like most recently, I picked it up a few times. I've dabbled in it. I haven't done as much as like the basic expert and stuff. He has like old videos on that shit. But I dabbled with Scarlet Heroes recently, and that was pretty fun. Until like I love doing the hex crawl stuff, and like I was like, oh, you find like, oh, this weather event happens, oh, these monsters show up, oh you find like this. But then like I ran into my first dungeon and I had to like basically generate the dungeon, and I got lazy and I stopped.
Tapani, I've never seen the Lay on Hands solo RPG. I will have to check it out. Hello, Matt.
Hey, Matt.
Funny. Grim had a TI. Yeah, Parsec was good. That was fun. Hey, Thothy. Goosebumps Choose Your Scare was your first choose your own adventure books. Aaron, are you that young? I didn't know that.
I mean, I remember Goosebumps, and I'm like almost 40. So, but I'm not sure if the choose your own adventure books were later. But I remember the original Goosebumps.
I was not a Goosebumps person because that was way after I was already grown up.
I had one where there was like this thing you could do at like the local bookstore where you could get a Goosebumps book, but like all the names were like replaced with like names of your choice. So the main character was me, and I remember like one character was named after my dog, and like all this stuff. It was pretty fun.
I liked the Scary Stories books with the creepy drawings. I never got Goosebumps. You know the ones I'm talking about?
I don't.
God damn.
I'm sorry.
I think they made a TV show about it recently.
Yeah, we're segueing way off. But yeah, this is kind of like one of the latest production pictures for Tunnels and Trolls. And even though this is the basic book that lets you play it as a games master and stuff like that, a lot of the Tunnels and Trolls things that are sold are actually solo role-playing games already built in. And Tunnels and Trolls is one of the old guys. It's like one of the first earliest competitors to D&D. And it uses all D6s, which I thought was a great idea, actually, because it, most people had access to D6s, so you didn't need to buy all the funky dice.
You can always like rate like a random board game that you have, and you'll have some D6s. So yeah.
Yeah, how many early people ripped off all the dice out of their Yahtzee?
Yeah, games, or like Monopoly or whatever.
Yeah. I think I definitely collected all the board game dice I had in my house and just put them all into my big dice bag, just so my dice bag would look bigger and cooler. But yeah, Tunnels and Trolls was pretty cool, just because it did kind of have some character progression, and they brought out supplements that let you play other races and other classes and stuff like that. And all their different game books kind of supported whatever you were doing, which is pretty cool, actually.
Is Tunnels and Trolls its own system, or is it like OSR?
It's its own animal.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Ken St. Andre is like the last surviving guy behind Tunnels and Trolls who wrote most of it, and he's still around. But the other guy who worked on it, whose name I unfortunately don't remember, has passed away.
That sucks.
Yeah. But yeah, Flying Buffalo was the original company. You could still get these. You could buy, of course, these on DTRPG, but they also sell hard copies of them through, I believe, Flying Buffalo Games. And I actually need to get the hard copies of these.
Yeah, I like the art. It's very old school.
Yeah, the artwork is really gorgeous. These were really well laid out. They're fun. I mean, they are kind of like pretty much choose your own adventures, where you turn to different sections and do different things and test your character's abilities at different times. But it's really cool, and I call these kind of things like they're more like programmed adventures, right? Which is a little different than the solo gaming that we're kind of used to. And then, of course, we had this came out. This is D&D's, one of their basic games, Ghost of Lion Castle. And it was an early, actual official TSR product. Yeah.
Yeah.
This one comes with the whole, warning and everything on it.
Oh, the new warning, or the
new warning, yeah.
Yeah, the WotC warning, yeah.
The WotC warning, yeah. But it had some altered spell effects and some other things like that for playing basic D&D. I always wanted this one when I was young, but I never did find a copy of it. And of course, I didn't know how to order them and all that.
So is this
It was
one like
internet.
is this like more like choose your own adventures, or is it like tables basically?
No,
If you know what I mean.
yeah, no. We're gonna talk about that, but no,
Yeah.
this is more like the choose your own adventure type thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Where you go to different entries and you do whatever it tells you to do.
Yeah.
And there were some AD&D solo adventures too. I think I have a hard copy of one somewhere that I thought was really cool. My DM wouldn't let me use those though. When I started at his table, I said, "Well, I got this character that I ran through, this solo adventure. Can I use it?" No. Why not? Because I don't know.
No
I
reason.
didn't know. Well, his reasoning was since he didn't have that adventure, he didn't have any idea how I'd played it, and he said I could have just cheated my character through it. And I'm just like, oh, okay. So,
Well, either way, it's just a character.
That's kind of what I thought, but
Yeah.
And yes, Grim, that was my dad too. My dad bought me a TI-99 4A for the same reason, because it had the Texas Instruments logo, and he wanted me to he wanted to teach me how to program on it. He didn't want me to get an Atari because it was just a game system, and he thought it was crap. So, Matt said you enjoyed those D&D Choose Your Own Adventures. They even had a sci-fi one. I haven't seen the sci-fi one. I'll have to check that out.
What Disciple of Logos just says, the Lone Wolf game books. I've been seeing like the covers of those recently. I never played them, but the covers look really cool. Like you're basically like some badass ranger.
Yeah, I'll get into those. I'll get into those because I was very religious about those. You're playing TNT this Friday night, and Grim says you have TNT and some game books in the old box set.
It's TNT. It's dynamite.
Abilene coffee ain't gonna buy itself. Thank you, Matt, for $1.99. Hey, you know what? I might as well start doing this. Whenever people start doing super chats, I might as well play something cool. So let's play something cool for Matt.
Friendo.
There we go. I know it wasn't much, but Calvinoni, cool topic. I'll watch this later. Work time. Okay, Cal. Yeah, I see how you are. Yeah.
Sorry, I can't contribute much. I've never played a solo RPG.
What? Immortal Rising comic books. Hail.
I've made RPGs for one player. Not quite the same thing as solo RPGs, though. But
yeah, we're gonna get there. We're definitely gonna get there because we're gonna talk about that here in a second. But Disciple of Logos. I'll get to this. Gabriel Kingdom Barbosa. Hello. Here on the first 15 Lone Wolf. Okay, so since two people have already brought up Lone Wolf, let's talk about Lone Wolf for a second. Lone Wolf was by Joe Dever with illustrations by Gary Chalk, who Joe Dever has passed away, and trying to get the Lone Wolf books now is basically like trying to hammer railroad spikes with your flaccid penis.
Oh, so pretty easy?
Yeah. Well, if you're Dutch, I guess. I mean,
yeah.
Well, I'm American. It's much more difficult. But getting them on eBay, the eBay scalpers have the prices at ridiculous levels.
Yeah, I bet.
They do. Now, there is a website out there, which I don't remember the URL for it, but there is a website out there where you can actually download and play the originals. I don't think they have the illustrations on them, but I don't remember for sure. But I think they basically like scanned them in or text typed them in, and you could use those to play through. If you could find that would be awesome, because that's about the only Lone Wolf experience you're going to have now. Supposedly they are going to reprint those, but I haven't seen anything yet. But yeah, in the Lone Wolf Adventures, you play a Kai Lord, which is basically like super badass ranger type martial artist monk dude. And Joe Dever had a really rich world that it would suck you into. I mean, he had maps and everything at the beginning of the book, and you could actually chart your progress. And as your character grew, they learned new powers. And what was significant about the Lone Wolf books is you could literally build a character from the first book and keep building it up with continuity from book to book. Like in the first or second book, in the second book, you picked up what was called the Summer Sword, which was this, magic sword that killed undead and did all this other cool stuff. If you picked it up in the second book, you could carry it over to the third and fourth and fifth and all the other books. And it would actually ask you in the text, it would be like, it would say like, do you have the Summer Sword? And if so, you could turn to that entry and it'd be like, you get a special entry for the Summer Sword. It was like a bonus if you played the other books.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a really good Ranger Jedi. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
There it is, Aaron. Project Aeon. Yeah.
I'll have to check that out because I've been seeing the covers and the covers look really cool because it's like some like blonde Aragorn like looking figure.
Yeah.
Like covered like with the green cloak and just like covered in weapons. And I was like, oh, that looks pretty dope.
Well, keep in mind, I didn't being in America, we had different covers from Europe. The European covers made him look almost like Vampire Hunter D or something. With the big brimmed hat and everything.
Yeah.
It looks cool though. Dever's Son has re-released them. Well, where are they? Disciple, if you find a website or something where I can actually buy those old books again, let me know because I would like to get them again. They were great. That was like one of the happiest experiences of my childhood. As a matter of fact, I loved those books so much that I had them in my old car, my first car, and one day I accidentally spilled gasoline on them. And I still tried to dry out and keep those books in good shape. Just, they stank of gasoline, but I still loved them.
Yeah.
And yeah, there is a full Lone Wolf RPG. I remember Mongoose put that out. I think I tried to buy into some of those, but collecting even those right now is almost impossible. There is a crappy like Lone Wolf game up on PC. But it's what do you call it? It's a conversion from a mobile game kind of thing.
Now we just need the Lone Wolf and Cop RPG.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, Aaron says there's been 2 full ones and neither are great. The original material is focused toward one protagonist and the medium doesn't transfer well. Yeah, I would agree. The individual Kai Lord is so powerful that it's kind of like, if you had a whole group of those things, it's kind of like, you could kind of like raffle stomp most everything.
Yeah.
But those were good days.
I mean, that'd be good, like not solo, but GM and a single player, I guess.
Right, which is a good segue into some of the more modern games that we have. Let me see what we got here. Let me turn this off. And this was their other one, was Maze of the Riddling Minotaur by Jeff Grubb. This one actually had the invisible ink that you used to have to use in order to uncover the things as you went so you couldn't cheat.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. Yeah, see where it had like X1, X2, and X3, they would be blank spots, and whichever one you picked, you did invisible ink, and it would show up. Since this is a reprint, of course, all the invisible ink things are already, put back in. So,
well, it's also like you can only do that once, I guess, or does it like fade again?
I don't know. I never had one originally.
Yeah, like I have no idea how that would work.
It doesn't fade again.
Okay.
So
you can only do it once.
Yeah. Yep.
I know this because there was a Nintendo game called Star Tropics.
Oh yeah, I remember Star Tropics.
It came with a secret letter that had invisible ink on it. And in order to progress in the game, you had to... It was like the Goonies. You had to figure out the puzzle. Like, you had to, like, wet the paper or whatever, and, like, it would appear with, like, a password. Like, that would let you progress through the game. It was kind of cool at the time, but if you play through it now and you don't have that, you have to look it up on the internet.
Yeah.
Fortunately, we have internet now.
Yeah. It would have been a disaster back in the day.
Mm-hmm. Kind of on a similar note, but a different animal was the old play-by-mail games.
Huh.
You remember those guys, right?
No.
Or am I the? Oh my god, I feel old now.
It might have just not been a thing in Europe. I don't know.
Well, no, I think they were a thing in Europe too. But play-by-mails were basically where you would throw some money at somebody. I don't know, depending on where it was, and they would send you back a form and everything, and you would fill it out and learn how to play the game, and you would input or you'd write in whatever you were going to do every week or whatever, and then send it back, and they would, they had like basically a big center where all these different people would be sending in their stuff, and they would make all their different moves, and whoever was running all of it would control all of it, and then send individual mail letters back and forth.
Huh. Interesting.
So yeah, it was kind of like a big living world.
Yeah.
And that's notable because I believe the original Darwin's World actually started out that way. As it was a play-by-mail. I never got into the play-by-mails, but the one I really wanted to do was they had one that was called Hyborian War for Conan. And when I was a kid, I really, really, really wanted to play that, but when you're broke and you don't have a job and
can't afford stamps.
Yeah, it was rough, but PBEM, play by email. I don't remember play by emails, but I'm guessing it was kind of in the same animal. But yeah, we're talking about other solo gaming. We have Scarlet Heroes, which is designed for a lone single hero. And of course, I love this game. I mean, I've run it. We've had a good time with it. It's been fun. It is a little different because I think it can be used as just a regular play it by yourself, but it doesn't seem to lend itself that well to it. In my opinion, it seems to be better for a single GM and a single player.
I know John, the basic expert, has like great success using Scarlet Heroes for solo play. I think he's done videos on it. So, but and I've tried it myself, and like I said, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the hex core aspect, and it's like using all the different the oracles and the tables and stuff like that. But then I just got lazy when the first dungeon came up. So, but but it's definitely different from the whole. It's not choose your own adventure. It's literally just like roll on this oracle and see what happens.
Yeah, it's got oracle tables like that for So you can actually run it by yourself if you just have the book by itself, and you should have the book. But that kind of gaming, it's fun. You do have to use a lot more of your imagination to kind of figure out, and you have to be a lot more fair with, how something is going to react to you and stuff, which always kind of bothers me because I tend to be a little bit unfair in it because it's like kind of like, well, I don't want to be, I don't want this guy to hate me or whatever.
Yeah.
But it does require a bit more imagination.
Well, that's what stuff like reaction walls are for, I guess. So it's like you meet an NPC and then you do roll the reaction wall. It's like, oh, well, he's neutral to you. And then you just, just as a GM, you figure out like, well, what does that mean? But it does force you to a little bit to be a little bit fair, not to give yourself too many advantages.
Yeah. I like it. And like I said, Scarlet Heroes is probably my favorite. It's one of my favorite RPGs anyway. But yeah, I prefer it with a GM and one player, but that's really not solo gaming, as it were.
It's close, but yeah.
Now, another guy that I talk about all the time is Alex T. And this is the guy who did Sacrifice, which is Incense and Iron. In the newest version, his branded version, which I don't think Aaron the Relentless likes, but
is that the Berserk with the serial numbers filed off?
Yeah, this is Berserk with the serial numbers filed off.
Yeah.
this has a pretty robust section for solo gaming.
Nice.
And it's the same kind of solo gaming as in what you would get in like say Oracle gaming type stuff, because it's got a pretty robust little Oracle system.
And if it is like Berserk, it kind of does make sense. Like you could be like the Black Swordsman, just wandering around, like going on your revenge spree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and as you can see here, like it's easy to have whatever you're going to encounter and everything. The thing that limits it is the number of creatures and stuff that you have to deal with.
Yeah.
But see, it's got a yes or no oracle. It's got all its complications, and it has a lot of theme tables that are pretty robust.
Nice. I might have to grab this.
You should grab it anyway, dude. This is something you should play. And it is OSR.
Yeah.
And actually, so is Scarlet Heroes, I should mention.
Yeah, of course. I've used Scarlet Heroes on top of old school Essentials to pretty good effect.
Mm-hmm. How do you like it?
It's good. I like it. I usually I don't really use the Scarlet Heroes setting. It's a good setting, but I usually prefer like standard Eurocentric fantasy, I guess. I mean, like the whole Asian setting is cool, but I don't know. I'd rather play like Oriental Adventures or something when I do that.
Well,
but
it's not really Asian. It's just kind of there are some heavy duty Asian themes in a couple of sections of it, but it's got like Nordic and all the other stuff too. So you do it however you want.
But like the core mechanics, like the fray die and like all that stuff, those are awesome. And yeah, I've used them with my friend. I ran one of the old school Essentials like dungeons, and it was just her. So we used the Scarlet Heroes rules so she could be a bit more badass, and it was like really fun.
Yeah. Disciple of Logris, did anyone else play the Way of the Tiger books? I played the Way of the Tiger books. In fact, I recollected all of my Way of the Tiger books recently because they finished the adventure and they released a prequel adventure to it. So if you look them up now, Jamie Thompson wrote them. And in fact, I had Jamie Thompson on my show the first year we started.
Nice.
Great guy, really fun. I had him and Dave Morris on, and it was a hoot. It was probably one of the best interviews we ever had. Those guys are awesome, and they're still hard at work right now. They're doing a new series that you can pick up, which are solo gaming books. And Dave Morris has written quite a few of them also. In fact, Dave Morris did something that was really awesome. He did Fabled Lands. And Fabled Lands is kind of an endless adventure because, oh man, think how genius this is. Not only is it a solo game, but every single book introduces you to a new section of the world. So you can take your character from one part of the world and wander into a different part of the map. And as long as you have access to that book, you can go to that part of the world and adventure in it and experience what's on offer there.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. I love the Fabled Lands books. In fact, I played those recently as an adult. And I still have my character from it because it's fun. And every once in a while, it's nice to pick up and just wander through it solo.
Yeah.
And actually, there's a lot of a resurgence of solo adventure gaming books in the last few years, and I've been picking them up, and I'm still picking them up. I never have time to play them, but
yeah, I wonder why that is. Why it's coming back.
Yeah, and that's part of what the discussion is about today too. Yeah, Aaron, Fabled Lands is good. What you have to get used to in Fabled Lands is the fact that there is no definitive ending. So there's no definitive story you're playing towards. Everything is pretty much a series of encounters, and you make your choices and you note your equipment and stuff, and you have to play fair in order to get through it. But I like them. I would suggest picking up a few just to see how you like it. They're not horribly expensive. And kind of worth your money, I think. Oh yeah, Immortal Rising. Yeah, choose your own adventure books. Yeah, well, there's a lot of them out there to pick from now. Wanted to mention these really quick before we get into that, but this is Rift Breakers. This is also from Black Oath, Alex T. This is designed to be a solo book, and it is a beefy boy. It is a very beefy boy. It's like I forget how many pages this thing clocks in at. Yeah, 297.
Yeah, that's big.
Yeah, and it's more since it is built around solo gaming. Every single monster has, as you can see, they have different things that they do every round. So when you encounter that monster, it will do different things like from round to round, which is an idea that I like. And I first saw that idea being used in the board game Kingdom Death Monster, which uses cards to simulate that. And then later on, the Dark Souls board game stole that idea.
Mm-hmm.
But that is cool. It also has, the idea of a solo hero and how they got there. And my gosh, there's a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah, that's definitely a very dense book.
It is. It's extremely dense. I bought the actual hard copy, and it's a big boy.
Yeah.
But yeah, as you can see, it's a complete system all unto itself. It's pretty amazing.
As a creator myself, I just get tired seeing like all these books that are just like old like tables, just tables upon tables. I immediately just get like I just feel my energy draining.
Well, in some of these cases, like okay, if you have to face off with like let's say like the controller, it gives you its full set of stats, but it also the table in this case is from round to round. It's doing this.
Yeah. No, I love tables. I'm just saying, as a creator, they're like some of the most tedious, annoying thing to do. So
yeah.
like those always are people that like just like have like 300-page books just full with tables. Like I don't know, they have some kind of superpower, I think.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm punishing myself right now because I'm trying to write up 100 individual mutations that can happen to your character.
Yeah,
and it's kicking my ass. I'm on like 64 of them so far, and
good progress.
I'm losing my will to live.
Yeah, yeah, I feel you.
But some of them are really funny, and some of them are really horrible. I need to get them finished. But yeah, this is Rift Breakers. I definitely recommend this one. It's like I said, it's a big boy. It's very robust.
Yeah.
And then recently, and these two are top sellers on Drive-Thru RPG, so it's still going hot. There's Entity, which is a shorter solo storytelling game.
So like Alien, kind of like with the serial numbers filed off?
Not so much. It's you're actually playing an android astronaut, as it were.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I was picturing Entity as like an evil alien thing, but
Well, you're exploring the galaxy and stuff, and you'll run into various things, and it'll do stuff. Cool. Yeah, it's pretty neat. Like I said, this is a hot seller right now, and you can see what all the tables are for all the different encounters and things.
It's got really nice layout.
Yeah, it does. This I'd rather get in hard copy, but it's only 24 pages, so including the. But that is pretty cool. This one is also selling really big too. This is Bottom Feeders, and it is another solo game where you actually run an entire ship and a crew. And it's written by a guy in Finland.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean,
and it's got rules for looting and everything.
If I lived in Finland, I would probably have like 5 times as many books as I have now because there's nothing else to do. You're just in a cabin in the snow somewhere.
Yeah, it's that or make love, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, with a bear, like Baldur's Gate.
Oh, come on now. Don't call James that. We love Reggie. Yeah. Then this guy's very cool, by the way, too. He's a neat guy.
Yeah. That also looks good.
Yeah.
Cool art.
Oh, yeah. This stuff looks great. And All right, so let's see. Crafty Matt says solo gaming is coming back because people are done dealing with all the shit heels that I've been. Yeah, this is the part we're gonna get into now.
I'm back.
Yeah, I have Iron Sworn as well, Crafty Matt. Yeah, it does need to resemble Scarlet Heroes more. So Iron Swarm doesn't work so well for me.
I do prefer the Oracle solo gaming over the choose your own adventure stuff. So because
Really?
it just gives you more. Well, choose your own adventure. Like at the end of the day, like it's still all pre-written. You might have like 50 different like paths that you can take, but it's still all pre-written by somebody. If you do the
True.
Oracle stuff, there's more flexibility. It's more based on your own imagination, and yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. Although I kind of like the choose your own adventure stuff too, because you really get exposed to some very nice elements of writing and stuff. Fighting fantasy books, the way that those books were written by Steve Jackson and Ian Livingston, really informed me a lot on how you should run a game.
Yeah,
more than anything else.
Yeah, I remember Ian Livingston fucking Death Trap dungeon and stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Crafty, yeah, Victor's got it. Yeah, you think so? You agree with Victor too, huh, Crafty?
Well, okay, so I like choose your own adventure, but I still feel like I'm reading a book and not playing a game. When you use like the Oracle system, I feel like I'm playing a game, which is for me is the point of tabletop games. If I'm reading a book, if I'm following a set story, but it just has like different choices you can make, then yeah, choose your own adventures is great, but it's just a different vibe.
Yeah, I can understand that. To me, it almost feels like the Oracle system and stuff like that. It wouldn't be very hard to computerize that and just kind of make it something where you could play it online. In fact, I'm surprised nobody has done that. I bet somebody has, but I probably don't know who.
Yeah,
Crafty
what
Matt.
Crafty said.
Yeah, it's true. Choose your own adventure books eventually run out, and that's one of the reasons why I think Fablelands does it a little bit better, because it is closer to Oracle style gaming. It's still choose your own adventure, but because it's an unlimited set of adventures and you're not working towards any one particular goal, you can go back and forth wherever you want to. It has a ton of entries the way it's written, but it's pretty unique in it. And there's like, I think 6 or 7 books now, so it's really robust.
Well, with the Oracle gaming, especially like the Scarlet Hero style, you can make your own hex map. You can make your own world however you want it. You're not relying on how this guy who wrote like all the entries wants the world to be. You make a hex map. You start exploring it. You can use your own monster manuals that you want. You can use like standard monsters like orcs, goblins, elves, like whatever. Or you can do like the Scarlet Heroes ones, like what are they called, the Shin, the Shi, or something like that. Like you can do all sorts of stuff. So yeah, it's less choose your own adventure and just choose your own campaign. I guess, I don't know, choose your own world.
Yeah, there is that element. And both. I mean, I think both are good. It just kind of depends on what experience you're wanting.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think I just prefer more narrative stuff, but that's just me.
Well, I think choose your own adventure is great for like kids and like younger teens and stuff like that. And
are you calling me a kid?
Yes.
Okay.
You have the intelligence of a 12-year-old. That's nothing wrong with that. No.
I have the attention span of one too, probably.
Yeah. No, but I think they're great for like getting kids like introduced to like role playing, to like fantasy, like to like all that stuff. But I think the Oracle type gaming is good if you're like a bit more advanced, basically.
Yeah, and that's something good to point out too. Is like, when those fighting fantasy books and stuff like that were written, they were designed for younger guys in mind, or girls, younger people. Here, let me be more correct. They were designed for younger people and it was kind of like a gateway to get into more advanced gaming stuff like D&D or Warhammer or whatever.
Yeah,
and it's still that way now because Wizards of the Coast is putting out brand new Endless Quest books, and of course they are focused on kind of pulling kids into the D&D experience again.
Yeah.
Which I understand. That's good marketing. I would do it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the funny thing, is the fact that there are more ways to play online with a group or with a group of people now than there ever have been. I mean, because there's the old school way of, everybody sits down at the table, brings snacks and pizza and shit, and you have a good time with everybody socializing. Or of course there's VTTs, or even just something as simple as everybody gets together on Discord and has a game, or YouTube, or like we do it on StreamYard.
Yeah.
Every week. And yet the solo gaming stuff, as you can see, even on Drive-Thru RPG, because the two games I showed you, Bottom Feeders and Entity, are both in the top 100.
Yeah.
So solo gaming is coming back, and it's come back pretty hard. I would have thought it would hit a lot harder during the pandemic, but
well, it was easier to find groups during the pandemic because everyone was like locked up inside. So I there's also like a GM shortage, like all this stuff going on. So I can see why solo gaming came back. And like Crafty says, you just don't have to deal with certain assholes in the hobby. So
there is that. And I wonder if that's not the case because of all the bickering and stuff like that that's gone back and forth amongst all of the different communities. I mean, the OSR, the 5th edition, the Pathfinder people, all this other stuff. If that's not part of the reason why solo gaming has come back.
Yeah. Also, like Crafty says about the Oracle gaming, another big benefit is that you can flesh out a hex map or whatever you're using, and you're creating NPCs using the random rolls. You're creating dungeons, you're creating towns, you're creating like all this stuff. Maybe your solo character gets like far enough where he becomes like a lord, and he's like running a domain. And then you can use that same exact map, that same exact world for an actual party of players that are then exploring that world that's already fleshed out. Maybe they're going to run into your solo character and he's like a high-level NPC now who can give them like quests. Like there's all sorts of stuff you can do with that to like set up like an interesting world.
There is that. Yeah, definitely. And it's a great idea also for building a campaign.
Yeah.
If you're stuck for ideas and stuff. I'm not so much stuck for building worlds as I am building a good game system, because it's I want to do something that's OSR but is distinctly removed from anything dealing with Dungeons and Dragons, but still has enough of the feel that OSR gamers and other people will go, oh yeah, this is cool, or this is what needed to be done. So I fear that my own work on that is going to be one of those I'm working on it until the day I die kind of things, because I'll never be satisfied with it. Because it's got every time I think I'm done, I'm like, oh no, this is a cool new set of rules. I need to try this. And
I get you,
yeah. Greg, what do you think about any of this, man?
Well, I really like the idea of solo gaming, and I just I have a big history with choose your own adventure books, but when it came to solo gaming, I always deferred to video games, as we discussed earlier. I don't know too much about it on the tabletop. I don't know if I would play a solo game today. If someone came to me and like, hey, check out Fighting Fantasy or whatever, I probably wouldn't. I don't have enough time.
Wow.
Did you hear that? Loda's motorcycle or something?
Yeah, somebody was announcing themselves.
Yeah.
There is a game that's up on Steam that you can also play as a TTRPG, because it's available up on Drive-Thru RPG, and it's an older one, actually. It's D100 Dungeon. Somebody basically just, made all the rules electronic, and they put it up, and you can buy it off of Steam. I own a copy. And it kind of makes all the rolls and everything automatic. and you can. I don't know about so much building a world off of it, but you could, I guess, if you kept good notes.
Yeah. Also, what Aaron the Relentless just said amused me because, like, I'm just imagining, like, I have like a solo character that I know, like, running with Scarlet Heroes through this world, and then like I'm using that same world to run like a old school Essentials game for like a party, and then the party meets that character and tries to kill him, and I just still use the Scarlet Heroes rules for him because, well, that's what he was made for. So he's like using like Frey die against like the players and stuff. That would be mean.
That would be mean, but it would be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you got to remember, okay, I mean, players will try anything.
Yeah.
Because if you remember the Ultima series of games, they would always feature a self-insert character. The guy who made it had a self-insert character named, God, what was it? Lord British.
Yep.
Lord British, yeah. And you could attack the NPCs in Ultima, and you could attack Lord British, but Lord British would usually whoop your ass.
Yeah.
But let's see what Crafty says. Solo gaming adventure as part of a box set or teaching a new referee system is something we need to bring back, red box style. And Chaosium still does this in his box set. Yeah, it does. Yeah, and it's worth noting too. The red book basic book that I got was the Moldve basic book. It was not the Beckme book that came out later. And the Beckme book that came out did have a solo RPG session in it and a solo RPG dungeon. So you could solo RPG for a little bit. But yeah, as you noted earlier, Crafty, yeah, you do eventually run out of content in that one. So eventually you do need a DM. But yeah, I think solo adventuring has its merits. It's definitely fun. If you can't get a group together for some reason and you just want to play and you want to throw some dice and get in there and do it. Something I haven't mentioned is I can't find my original cards to it, but this up real quick. I recently kickstarted something called Korg, and they had a sequel to it called Korg Slayer. And what's cool about this is it's got a full set of rules and everything. And I mean, this seems more complicated. This is a 24-page rule book, but let me show off the actual cards for this so you can see what I'm talking about.
Nice.
Yeah. So this is Korg. This guy literally developed this as a miniature role-playing game that you could take with you, like on trips and stuff, and you could keep this in your wallet. And even if you don't have dice, if you have your phone or something, you can always use randomizers and just like a little piece of paper to keep track of your stuff. And it's just a little simple pocket type game stuff to keep your mind kind of occupied.
Nice.
That's fun.
Yeah. And I've seen this lately too. Some smart guys have been putting their on their regular gaming cards, on like their business cards, little solo games on the back of them. It's the second time I've seen this done. And this is a more simple one, but this kind of smaller role-playing stuff is kind of neat as well. So there's definitely a lot of call for the solo game, and there's people who just want to have a good time by themselves without lubricant, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody laughed. Okay.
Well,
Beckme killed all gamers' first Canadian girlfriend. Yeah, no kidding. Hey, Mike, you said you noticed a lot of miniature war games that have been including solo modes, like Silver Bayonet and especially Rangers of Shadow Deep. I have not seen that yet. Now, I am a board gamer, and whenever I kickstart a board game, the first thing I check for is how many players do I need to play this? Can I solo play this? Because if I can't solo play it, I'm not backing it. I don't want to buy a board game that I have to have someone else to play. But there have been some big solo board games that have come out. I wish I could think of one right off the top of my head, but I have a few. And I'm surprised, when you can sink, like $60 to $100 into a board game, and it is just a big solo experience. The first game I ever played that was like that came from Games Workshop, and it was called Chainsaw Warrior. Nobody remembers that.
No.
God, I'm old. Yeah, I still have my box set of Chainsaw Warrior that I bought way back in the day. But it was literally designed by a guy who was a college student who, was trying to get through his exams, and it involved using a card deck and 2d6 and keeping track of your character as you explored this haunted, basically, building, trying to, stop the evil bad guy before, the stroke of midnight. And they've converted that over to PC, so you can actually play it on Steam if you don't want to try to hunt down the original book. Or the original box set. I don't know what an original box set of that goes for now. But I had the White Dwarf that expanded that card collection, and let me tell you, man, I blew a lot of hours on Chainsaw Warrior because it was fun. Yes, Chainsaw Warrior was solo, Grim Jim.
Grim Jim says solo game just is sad because we have more opportunities now, than ever to have a group.
Mm-hmm.
But kind of like we already hinted at, there's like a lot of culture war stuff involved now, and like I think people are just kind of tired of it. So sometimes you just want to have like fun without all that stuff and just do it yourself, I guess.
Yeah. I haven't played the Elite Dangerous TTRPG. I'm kind of curious about it. And Modifius Trek, I'm guessing it's Star Trek based, so I'm not interested in that because Star Trek has kind of, destroyed my enthusiasm because of the latest Star Trek debacle with garbage. But
yeah, I liked the last season of Picard, but that was it.
There's an app version of Chainsaw Warrior now too. Wow, I shouldn't be surprised. Like I said, it was on Steam. For all I know, the Steam game is probably the app.
There's also a real-life version. It's called going to your local Home Depot and buying a chainsaw.
Yeah, except you can't chainsaw zombies and stuff in reality unless you build them yourself first, Or you buy one of those really expensive, zombie torsos.
Build zombies yourself, what, like Jeffrey Dahmer? Like,
ew. No, Victor, no. I know you guys get bored over there.
Well, that's what he was trying to do. He was trying to make zombies.
Yeah, pretty much. Yes, as Grim Jim says, yes, I talk to myself. It's the only way I can have an intelligent conversation.
Yeah. I do have to accept I can't understand myself.
It's when myself starts answering back that I have problems.
Yeah.
And Crafty has a good choice. He says, yeah, most people online treat online TTRPG gaming like Call of Duty lobby, and the referee is a service provider. Yeah, I've seen that. I actually had that experience in reality too, where a guy was, advertising for he needed a GM to run the games. So I came over thinking, oh, this will be a good chance to join a new group and have fun. And about the first game in is when he informed me halfway through the game. He's like, well, the GM's just here to let us do what we want to anyway. And I'm like, oh, yeah.
Wow.
So
that sounds boring.
Yeah, I'm just kind of like, oh, I'll just let you do whatever you want to. Okay, that's my job. Yeah, I didn't last at that table for very long. I wasn't invited back actually because I kind of insisted on running my own narrative. So
Yeah.
I was like, fuck you, I'm not gonna do that. But catfished me. Yeah, I guess so. Immortal Rising. Yeah, I won't go back to the table because that's not my opinion. That's not my preference of a game. It's like, I'm happy to run a game for somebody. I'm happy to run a sandbox narrative and let them enjoy the world, but I'm not going to try to tailor the experience to their particular character for them.
I don't like that either. Like, I'll do it if it like makes sense. It's something that like kind of like, oh, we're doing something that actually like really fits with something that you said about your character. But I'm not gonna go out of my way to do it. Like, it's like when I've said this before. It's like, oh, your dad got killed by the six-fingered man, and you want to like hunt him down. It's like, well, we're in the wasteland on the opposite side of the world right now. You're probably never gonna run into the six-fingered man. I don't care how many pages of backstory you wrote, So
yeah, that's a little different though. I mean, that's kind of, you're just injecting a plot point. It's but for the most part, I think, most of us like to have, static living worlds that will go on without, the character if they don't, if something happens to them. I mean, Greg, would you agree? You definitely do have a world of your own.
Of course, I like the static world. But in terms of making it a living world, this is kind of antithetical to a lot of the open sandbox type of gaming. For me personally, I like for my players to survive if they can. That doesn't mean I'm fudging rules behind the curtain to keep them alive. I try to make things fair. But it's because that the players and their characters end up becoming important people in the world.
Yeah.
On all of my books, and I mentioned this on the last stream I was on, all my players, like their actual characters influence the state of the setting, and then their character went on to become an influential person. I like to see that happen. I don't believe my characters or the players in my campaign are just disposable cannon fodder, so to speak. They're not supposed to be that. They're supposed to be movers and shakers that have a potential to impact the world and be part of it in the future. So that's where my living world comes from, and pretty much I'm very narrative oriented when it comes to that type of thing.
Mm-hmm. And I would kind of say that the Scarlet Heroes style play also kind of makes your character feel a lot more heroic than what they normally could do, because they can essentially take more punishment and mete out more punishment than a typical character could in any other system.
Yeah, exactly.
Except maybe Godbound, which I keep promising myself I'm going to run Godbound for Grim and everybody at some point. You guys have got to get in on that, because you're going to have a lot of fun if you do.
But no, I agree with Greg. Like I don't want my characters to die. If they die, they die. Obviously, if that's the way the dice fall, or like they do something stupid, then they die. But I would preferably avoid it. Because I'm very influenced by like the books I grew up reading, like The Hobbit and stuff. Like It's like, just imagine if like Bilbo like teams up with the dwarves and they're like traveling, and then like fucking the trolls that they encounter, Will and whatever all those names, whatever the names were, like just like eat them. Yeah, and then like the book ends. It's like, yeah, well, that's no fun. And then then all of a sudden like the next page is like, well, they're dead. Anyway, so there's this other Hobbit. He's Bilbo's, half brother. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There is that. There is that. And I think players do like to feel special, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But it's also kind of important for a GM to be able to establish his own world and say, hey, you know what? This is my world. Yes, you're special, but at the same time, you can die. You're mortal, and you will if you act stupid.
Yeah. So I think it's a fine balance. Like,
yeah,
I think you can do both. You can make the players feel heroic and special, and still not really pull punches. They just have to be smart.
Mm-hmm. That's what it's really all about. But
yeah, my most recent campaign that I played most recent session was a couple weeks ago. Actually my players this time, instead of being these special heroes, they decided to be scoundrels. So one guy my co-author is a halfling thief who's like very like gray morality type of person, and then you've got a mercenary human fighter, that type of thing. And so these guys are not special heroes at all, but they found out that by playing that, it actually it was kind of refreshing for them, because they've always played special heroes who are part of the setting, and then they're playing these guys that are actually kind of disposable. And if they get eaten by a dragon, the world is going to go on without remembering them. And they're like, this is kind of fun. It's like they feel like they don't have like plot armor. Not that I ever gave them plot armor, but it's like they feel like they're not as burdened by, being like these special people, which is kind of like the other side of the coin. It's like a flip side kind of idea.
Well, that also has a literary basis, though, and like it's kind of like the more mudcore stuff, like the Black Company. You're just like some gritty mercenaries, and if you die, you die, and then some other mercenary will take up the slack. So like there's definitely like campaigns that you can run like that, and it still has a very fantasy book feel, but it's just a completely different vibe.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, this is just kind of our little chat about solo gaming. There's definitely a couple of different styles. It's definitely grown in resurgence in popularity. And, it's like we've said, I tend to favor the choose your own adventure style stuff because I think it's important for a GM to read that kind of thing and to get a kind of a grasp on how to run an adventure by being a player in a solo game and seeing how it's laid out and how it's narrated to you and how information is parceled out to you as you come up with ideas and things.
It could definitely be a useful tool if you're like a first-time GM too, and you're like nervous. And you have like performance anxiety, which I actually definitely had when I was like supposed to GM for the first time. Like it's like speaking in public, basically, that kind of same feeling. So and you're like afraid of making mistakes and like stumbling and just being a fool. So I think it could be a very useful tool to just kind of get like used to the conventions of the game, to like see how you like string like different things together. So
Did you talk about games that were for only one player? Because I was AFK for a minute.
We did.
Missed it.
We did.
Damn. I missed my chance.
Yeah. Why? What did you have?
I was about to introduce. I was about to talk about my Metroid RPG that I made. Which was,
I didn't know that.
Which was awesome. And it was basically I forget the name of it's been so
Samus Aran?
No, you weren't Samus. You were part of that international like federation or whatever that's in the story.
Oh.
We can explore, but
I only played Metroid 1, so.
Yeah. The GM basically designs the whole world that you explore, all the caverns and zones and all that, and then it's kind of like a solo dungeon crawl for one person where they have to map out as they go along, like in the first Metroid game, and like they discover enemies and like power-ups and stuff. That was a fun time.
Yeah, I could see how that would be fun. There is something that it's probably important to mention, is the fact that when you are doing the hex map style single player games, a lot of them do tend to kind of turn into dungeon crawls, and I think that's because it's a little harder to come up with like an overarching plot. I mean, it's like, okay, if you're playing by yourself, how easy is it for you to come up with a whole idea of the evil wizard Necron has taken over the entire kingdom, and somehow you must, stop Necron and his armies from, invading or from, destroying Earth or destroying the world, and, getting the orb of Zufus or whatever. And you know what I'm saying? That's the kind of narrative you can construct when you're a GM, but when you're a player and you're trying to solo game, I don't think most players think in that big of a world building kind of term. I mean, or how easy is it to get involved in that plot, or how easy it is to get involved in, machinations of courts and intrigue or even mysteries and things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, I do like the solo game as far as the hex crawls and the oracles and everything else. But it just seems a little bit harder to explore more complex narratives beyond kind of just like friend or foe, feed or kill.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just me. But
yeah. When you use the oracles, it's definitely more like you're just trying to survive in this world, and you're just doing whatever you come across. It's not really like, oh, I'm out to set, I'm set out to kill the Dark Lord.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And maybe that's one of the reasons why I do like those kind of choose your own adventure type plots as well, because usually there is an overarching narrative that is kind of like, you have to, make your way through whatever forest or cavern or whatever it is, and try to find all the stuff you need to destroy the evil Dark Lord at the end of the game. But,
it's definitely better for like heroics.
Yeah. And I mean, that's just me, I think, but I don't know. Your mileage may vary.
My kilometers may vary.
Your kilometers, kilometerage,
kilometers.
All right. Well, we're at our hour mark, so I'm gonna go ahead and close her down. Unless you guys have any closing remarks.
No, not really.
No. Yeah, fun stream.
Yeah,
I think so. It was a fun talk.
In and out because I'm technically at work, but I appreciate you having me on.
Oh man, always. You guys are always welcome. You guys are my friends. So, and as I always say, I support my friends. So
yeah.
Which reminds me, do you guys have any projects in the works or that you're coming up with?
So many. I have like I'm working on like 5 things right now, but I'm just kind of like poking at them. It's nothing really concrete yet. I'm working on Rivets and Rockets, which is going to be my 1950s space opera game using the Basic Experts 2D10 system, atomic system. I'm still working on my own 2D8 system, which is way more like, it's like more cinematic. It's like, what if you want to be John Wick or Jason Bourne? I'm also still poking at my cyberpunk / sci-fi rules for Old School Essentials. So yeah, I have like different irons in the fire. It's just, I don't know. I haven't really had the state of mind lately to like really like knuckle down on something.
I can definitely empathize with that. How about you, Greg?
I've got the Kaiju game coming up.
Yay!
I've been working on that a little bit more recently. Just fleshed out the skill system. As soon as I get over the character creation, I think that it'll really start to flow. Then I can get into the fun stuff, which is for me the lore and the storyline. But hopefully that'll be available by the end of the year. I'm gonna playtest very soon.
And you need to get Terror of Hemosaurus.
Yes.
So we could play together because it's multiplayer.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the Steam sale's over, but oh well. Womp womp. That's okay. That they released Jagged Alliance 3 like the day after the Steam sale ended, so I'm kind of like $50, but it was Jagged Alliance 3, so I like snag. Speaking of which, I'm probably gonna run right back to that as soon as this game stream ends because I'm so addicted to that game.
I'm gonna get some fries and a frikandel speciaal, which is a Dutch thing, but I'm starving right now, and I've been dieting for like 2 weeks, and I'm just giving myself a cheat day.
There you go. Do you put mayonnaise on your fries?
Of course. I mean, what kind of Dutchman do you take me for?
Ketchup, man. Ketchup.
No. No. I put ketchup on the frikandel, but also with mayonnaise, and then chopped onion.
Sounds good, though.
Yeah.
All right, everybody out there. Take care. Thank you for hanging out with us, and I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope maybe you got some insights, and if not, well, at least you found the name of some really cool games that you can check out for solo gaming. Tunnels and Trolls, Rift Breakers, Sacrifice, and Scarlet Heroes, of course, if you want to do hex crawling.
Yeah. And by Sexbots Redox.
Yes, buy my book too, please,
Yeah.
because I'd like to sell a few.
Yeah.
But make sure you have a copy of Machinations: The Space Princess too. So
Yeah, which I need to pick up because I've got why can I say this? Sex Bots Redux, but I don't actually have the main book.
Gotta have it.
Ja.
All right. Well, take care, everybody. We'll see y'all later.
Right, get your own.
Dag iedereen.
Bye.
Look, the Dungeons and Dragons ride!